Published in 1942, The Stranger by Albert Camus is one of the most iconic novels of existential literature. It tells the story of Meursault, a Frenchman living in Algeria whose life revolves around three pivotal deaths: his mother's passing, the murder of an Arab man, and his own execution. Each of these moments forces him to confront a deeper awareness of life, death, and his place in the world. Meursault is not your typical protagonist. When his mother dies, he doesn't react in a way society expects. At her funeral, he feels the heat of the sun more acutely than any sadness. He doesn't cry or express grief, instead observing his surroundings with detachment. This indifference becomes a defining trait, one that society will later judge harshly. Life goes on. Meursault spends his days enjoying the company of Marie, his girlfriend, without much emotional commitment. When she asks if he wants to marry her, he replies indifferently, essentially saying, "If it makes you happy." His attitude to life is strikingly casual. He drifts, responding to immediate experiences without overthinking them. He doesn't dwell on the past or worry about the future. He simply exists in the moment. This carefree demeanor leads him into morally ambiguous territory when he helps his neighbor Raymond, a shady character, take revenge on a woman who allegedly wronged him. Without much thought, Meursault supports Raymond's dubious actions, showing how little he questions the impact of his decisions. Everything changes one fateful day at the beach. After an altercation between Raymond and the brother of the woman he wronged, Meursault encounters the Arab man again. Overwhelmed by the blazing sun and an inexplicable impulse, Meursault shoots him, not just once, but 5 times. When asked why, his explanation is bizarrely simple. The sun was too hot. This senseless act of violence lands him in prison, but his trial turns out to be about much more than the murder itself. In court, Meursault's lack of emotion at his mother's funeral becomes a bigger crime in the eyes of society. The prosecutor paints him as a cold, heartless man, not because of the murder, but because he didn't conform to societal expectations of grief. The Arab man's death, though tragic, seems secondary to the courtroom's obsession with Meursault's indifference. Camus subtly critiques the legal and societal system, showing how it punishes those who don't fit the mold of what is considered normal. As Meursault awaits his execution, he undergoes a profound transformation. Facing death, he begins to reflect deeply on life. He rejects the offer of a priest, refusing to cling to religion for comfort. Instead, he confronts the reality of death with clarity. In his final moments, he finds freedom in accepting life's absurdity, the realization that life has no inherent meaning and that death is inevitable. This awareness doesn't depress him, it liberates him. For the first time, Meursault feels connected to the world and at peace with his fate. He even embraces the idea of the crowd's hatred during his execution, seeing it as a way to feel less alone in his final moments. At its core, The Stranger explores 2 profound themes: our awareness of death and society's obsession with guilt. Camus argues that death is the one certainty that unites all humans, and recognizing this fact can lead to a more authentic existence. Meursault's journey reflects this. While he begins as a detached and indifferent man, the inevitability of death awakens him to the beauty and fragility of life. The second theme, guilt, is equally powerful. Meursault is not just on trial for murder, but for failing to meet societal expectations. His inability to cry at his mother's funeral becomes symbolic of his emotional detachment, a trait society deems unacceptable. Camus critiques this tendency to force conformity, showing how modernity often punishes individuals not with physical pain, but with psychological pressure to feel guilt and behave in certain ways. This is especially relevant today, as societal norms around emotions, particularly for men, continue to evolve. Meursault's refusal to fake emotions or conform to expectations makes him dangerous in the eyes of others. Ultimately, The Stranger is a profound meditation on life, death, and what it means to be human. Through Meursault's indifference, Camus challenges readers to question societal norms and consider the freedom that comes with accepting life's absurdity. By the end of the novel, Meursault is no longer a stranger to himself or to existence. In embracing the inevitability of death, he discovers a connection to the world that finally brings him peace.